Only 46% of human cultures on Earth have ever practiced romantic kissing. That's the finding from a 2015 study that surveyed 168 societies across every continent. More than half of humanity built entire systems of love, marriage, and intimacy without their lips ever touching another person's, which means kissing isn't some universal instinct hardwired into our biology. It's something stranger, something that had to be invented, and then it spread. So where did it actually come from? To answer that, you have to go back further than written history, past every wedding, every love letter, every Hollywood close-up, all the way back to a behavior that has nothing to do with romance at all. Primatologists studying chimpanzees and bonobos have documented something called pre-mastication. A mother chews food until it's soft, then presses her mouth directly against her infants to pass it over. It looks almost exactly like a kiss. It isn't one, it's survival. But the behavior didn't disappear once the practical need for it faded. Researchers like Frans de Waal have spent decades documenting how chimps and bonobos use mouth-to-mouth contact for something else entirely: comfort, reconciliation after a fight, reassurance within the group. The mouth, it turns out, was already wired as a tool for bonding long before any human used it that way, which means the instinct might not have started with us at all. It might have just been waiting for us to catch up to it. For a long time, the oldest written evidence anyone had was a set of Sanskrit texts from around 1500 BCE that described something close to lip pressing as an act of affection. For decades, that was treated as the starting point, the first kiss on record. Then, in 2023, two researchers, Troels Pank Arbol and Sophie Lund Rasmussen, went back through thousands of Bronze Age clay tablets from Mesopotamia, written in cuneiform more than 4,500 years ago, and buried inside, they found it: descriptions of lovers pressing their mouths together, not as a myth, not as a metaphor, as an ordinary, documented part of life, which pushed the written history of kissing back a full 1,000 years earlier than anyone expected, and into an entirely different part of the world. But here's the detail that stops you. Some of those same tablets weren't romantic at all. A few described kissing as a way disease could pass from one person to another, almost the same logic doctors use today. 4,500 years ago, someone in Mesopotamia had already connected the act of pressing mouths together with the spread of illness. They didn't have germ theory, they didn't have microscopes, but they'd clearly watched it happen enough times to write it down as a warning. So if kissing has been documented for that long, why didn't it spread to everyone? This is where the 2015 study gets interesting. The researchers didn't just count which cultures kissed, they looked at why some never did. In several societies they studied, greeting and affection were expressed through smell instead, pressing the nose close to someone's cheek or hair, breathing them in. The Inuit Kunuk works this way: nose and upper lip pressed against skin, inhaling rather than pressing mouths together. To outsiders raised on mouth-to-mouth contact, that might sound like a smaller gesture. To the cultures that practiced it, it carried the same weight kissing does anywhere else: recognition, closeness, the specific scent of someone you love. And when European travelers and colonizers began moving through regions where kissing wasn't practiced, the reaction often went the other direction. Mouth-to-mouth contact, something the visitors considered completely normal, was met with confusion, sometimes open discomfort. Two people from different parts of the world looked at the exact same gesture and reached opposite emotional conclusions. One read it as love, the other read it as strange, even unsanitary. Neither side was wrong. They'd just been raised by entirely different scripts for what affection was supposed to look like. Which raises an uncomfortable possibility. A lot of what feels like instinct when we kiss someone might actually be closer to inheritance, something taught so early and so consistently that it stops feeling learned at all. But that doesn't mean there's nothing biological happening underneath it. Researchers studying kissing have found real measurable effects inside the body the moment it happens. Oxytocin rises, dopamine rises, cortisol, the stress hormone, drops. Evolutionary psychologist Robin Dunbar has argued that kissing may have evolved, at least in part, as a way to assess a potential partner at extremely close range. Through scent, through taste, through saliva itself, your body may be quietly screening for genetic compatibility you have no conscious access to. Some researchers connect this to differences in immune system genes, the idea that on some unconscious level, you might be more drawn to someone whose biology complements your own, the same way certain animals select mates by scent alone. And then there's the part almost nobody thinks about until they hear it. A single 10-second kiss can transfer around 80 million bacteria between two people. Researchers in the Netherlands measured this directly, swabbing couples before and after kissing and tracking how much of each partner's oral microbiome ended up inside the other person's mouth, which means every kiss is on some level exactly what those ancient Mesopotamian warnings described, an exchange, not just of affection, but of biology in both directions every single time, whether either person realizes it or not. Even within cultures that did adopt kissing, the rules around it kept shifting. Medieval Europe treated the kiss as a formal social contract as much as a romantic one. A kiss could seal a business agreement, confirm loyalty to a lord, or formally end a feud between families. It wasn't until disease outbreaks swept through crowded medieval cities that public mouth kissing as a greeting started to fall out of favor in certain regions, replaced by the hand kiss or the bow. The same gesture that once sealed contracts was suddenly treated as a health risk worth legislating against in some towns. The meaning of the exact same physical act kept being rewritten generation after generation, country after country. So is kissing love or is it logistics? Comfort passed down from a feeding behavior in our primate ancestors? A cultural habit some societies built and others never needed? A biological screening process disguised as romance? A literal transfer of bacteria we've been doing since before anyone could explain why? The honest answer is that it's all of those things layered on top of each other, and most people kissing tonight won't think about any single one of them. Less than half the cultures that have ever existed decided this was worth doing at all. And yet, here we are, still doing it, still teaching it to the next generation as if it were obvious, as if it were the only way to show someone you love them. Maybe it never was instinct. Maybe it was just a really good idea that happened to spread.